Good evening. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. We do have an update for you regarding how Hurricane Helene will impact Kentucky as it's looking to come inland on Florida here in the next 2 to 3 hours in that big bend of Florida. So we'll go over what it's looking like now. Let's go over with what's changed, give you our updated rain total forecast as well as the updated wind threat forecast. I do think we have some changes to discuss with you. Overall, mostly the same, but do have some changes to discuss with you. Of course, as you're coming in, if you would not mind, tap that share button at the bottom portion of your screen. That shares this broadcast on your news feed so that way your friends and family can view it as well. I would appreciate that, and I'm sure they would appreciate it too. Thank you for your help with that and helping us to spread the information out. I want to get as many folks informed and up to date on what to expect as possible, mainly because I do think we're not talking enough about the type of hazards that we'll see mainly on Friday and mainly in ways of travel. So I do think we'll see a lot of impacts when it comes to that. So I want to make sure we're getting as many people informed and updated as possible. So thank you for your help with sharing the broadcast. We appreciate you. If you're over there on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind, hit that copy, link, and share. Send it to anybody you might think need this information. Guys, we've been tracking this for a while. I know I went live a little bit early, so we'll give it a few minutes, let folks get in here. If you guys wouldn't mind being patient with me, just hang out, make sure you're saying hello as you come in. I can greet you and say hello to you back. But man, I've been watching this for, obviously we've been forecasting this for the last 3 or 4 days. Even when we had that major rain or thunderstorm event a couple of days ago, I've been trying to give you guys as much heads up as possible. Caleb, thank you for your 100 stars. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you to everyone that's sharing the broadcast as well. I appreciate y'all helping me get more folks informed. I appreciate you. But man, we've been watching this all day, and what's happened in the last 3 or 4 hours is astonishing to witness. Hey Lisa, how are you? Baby's doing great. Actually, he's being bad right now. He's not going to sleep. But if you're just now tuning in here, you have not missed a thing. We have not started yet. Don't worry. Caleb, thank you for your other 20 stars. I appreciate that, man. Don't worry, you have not missed a thing. We haven't started this yet. I went live a little bit early, so I'm giving it a couple of moments. Let folks get in here and settle in, because I want to make sure you guys get all the information on what to expect. I know there's a lot of events going on this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and of course Thursday with Louder Than Live. And Alma, thank you for your 500 stars. Wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Zachary, thank you so much, man. But again, if you're just out tuning in here, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster with WNK, and we have not started just yet, so you have not missed a thing. Again, we're giving it a couple moments. Thank you guys for all the shares on the broadcast. I appreciate you helping us spread our information, all the likes and hearts I'm seeing as well. Thank you so much for your kindness. But we have a lot to discuss, And before I dive into the information, I want to make sure you guys know if somehow the people in Florida that are going to be impacted by this, mainly being the Big Bend on the western side of Florida, if you have family and friends down there or are vacationing down there for whatever reason you are down there for, get out. Make sure let them know to get out. Actually, it's probably a little bit too late. They better just hunker down at this point. But yeah, I really hope that everyone took the evacuation notices seriously. You even have law enforcement and other offices down there telling folks that are staying and somehow riding out the storm to write their name, date, birth date, and information on their arm because they do not expect them to survive. This is not a survivable storm for some folks down there in Florida. So if you have any family or friends that have that eagle that think that they can ride out a hurricane like this, just point out Hurricane Katrina. All right. All right, that said, I'll give it about 30 seconds. I still see a lot of folks joining in. Still see a lot of folks sharing the broadcast and liking. Thank you guys a lot for that. I am just going to give it a couple more seconds. Lisa, how are you doing? Jordan, how are you doing? Before folks ask, I know this has been a question, a hot topic over the last few hours. We've been getting a lot of DMs asking, or will you tell schools closed? First of all, we don't tell schools what to do. No outlet does. Schools do whatever they're going to do. If it were me making that decision, or if they were asking me, we've had some input on some school systems. I'm not going to go into which ones, but our advice has been to not operate tomorrow if you are in any fashion of any business or school. And if I'm a parent of a kid that goes to school tomorrow, I'm definitely not going to put them on a bus to get. I'm not putting them on a bus, to say the least. Not with all that rain going on, and not with how hard of it's going to come down, and with the winds blowing. Caleb, thank you for your 135 stars. I appreciate all your stars, my friend. Thank you so much. So, let's go ahead and go through the intro one more time. You guys have not missed a thing. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in here with us. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. This broadcast is sponsored by Right Implement. Thank you so much to them. And you have not missed a thing. Let's go ahead and roll through the information here. I'm going to put on our display, and we're going to roll through what to expect. First of all, I want to pull up here. Let me pull up my preview. Kayla, hello over on YouTube. Silver, hello. Vicky, hello over there on YouTube. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, first thing I want to show you here so you kind of have a scope of what's happening. This is Hurricane Helene right here. Now, it doesn't look all that impressive on radar, but I want to point out why it doesn't look all that impressive on radar. Your radar beam is over here where this green dot is. I don't know if you can see it around where my cursor is at, all right? It's sending beams out to try and get you an image onto the radar. What is happening is it is trying to digest so much that this eastern half looks really great. The western half is like, what's going on over there? Trust me, it's there. It's just having a hard time getting back to the radar because there's so much it's trying to digest. I want to point out as well as we look at this, again, I'll get to what happens in Kentucky in just a second, but I want to give you some back story here so that you can understand what is actually happening. 16 to 22 feet of storm surge is going to hit this area right here. All right? In that, what we call the Big Bend in Florida. That is an atrocious amount of storm surge. The only storm surge that I've ever seen larger than that in my life since I've been alive is Hurricane Katrina, and it didn't beat it by much. Hurricane Katrina, I believe, had 22 to 28 feet of storm surge as their warning. This is 16 to 22, so it's very, very close. Very, very close. This will make a run at Category 5, in my opinion. Will it get there? I don't know if it has enough time. But you can tell by looking at your screen right here, if you see these lightning bolts, I'm going to change the color so we can see them a little bit easier. Let's go with like blue or something. These lightning bolts right here. This signifies that this hurricane is still strengthening despite it being so close to the coast. All right? And that's usually the case. Once this lightning gets to the other side, this western side, you'll notice that it will help to bomb out the pressure a little bit more. This last time I checked, the pressure was at 941. To put that in some perspective for you, I believe at 6 o'clock it was still at 960. So in the last 2 hours, it has crashed down. Sorry if you hear my dog barking, by the way. He never knows how to be quiet. But again, I want to say real quickly, thank you for all the shares and whatnot. What's going to happen? And I can't put it on the full global radar right now, but you see all the warnings. And there's even more up here in Kentucky. I just don't have them turned on from out there because the radar can't handle all that. There's a lot of information. But anyway, from here to about here right now, you have just an absolute onslaught of rain occurring all through here. I mean, all through here. What is happening? That low pressure that we had a couple of days ago that brought all those severe storms is trying to dive its way south. The problem is there's so much influence from this hurricane that it's shoving precipitation all the way up to this low pressure and it's connecting, and that's why you're seeing all this. I mean, I believe the Appalachians, last time I've looked, have already reached double-digit rainfall totals today, and the hurricane hasn't even made it up here yet. So what you're going to see over the next 12 hours is this thing is going to get on land and absolutely slingshot up to Kentucky. It's going to turn left. You can't see all the way up there, actually. Let me pull off. I just realized you can't see all the way up there. But it's going to get on land, go all the way up, turn left into Kentucky, ride that Kentucky-Indiana border, and it's going to settle somewhere around Hopkinsville. Somewhere around Hopkinsville. It's going to sit there. It's going to stall for hours and hours and hours. And what's going to happen as a result of that, slingshots of rain will continue all the way from tonight through Saturday afternoon. Off and on, but mostly on if you're in western or central Kentucky. So we're looking at rainfall totals that are up there. I'll show you the updated rainfall totals and stuff here very soon as well. But that's kind of what's going on radar and how everything is occurring. So I'll turn the radar off now. And I want to show you the latest observations here from the recon if it's going to load. This website's getting a lot of traffic right now. So by the way, if you want to track the website or the actual, let me go just pull on the full display here. If you want to track what's actually happening, they're sending recon planes into the storm, the eye of the storm. This is a great site to use. It's called Tropical Tidbits, if anybody's interested in that. YouTube just busted out an ad. Really shouldn't have. I think I have ads turned off. Okay, so bad gateway. It's just getting overloaded with traffic. But anyway, I want to show you this real quickly, and then we'll get in the model data, and then we'll get in our forecast for how much rain to expect, how much wind to expect, and where to expect it at. All right, we have all that ready for you. You can tell that we have towers going up on both the west and east side. And on the southern side, we have convection flying everywhere. That's what that pink is kind of indicating there. That means that this thing is still strengthening. And we have no dry air that's intercepting the storm, by the way, as well. You can see this fully closed circle and a wall of moisture blocking the dry air off to its west. So this thing has the whole Gulf to work with, and the Gulf is record warm right now. It is hot down there. So it's got a lot to work with. As for us, let's go ahead and put this thing into motion for you a little bit. This model can only see out 48 hours, so we'll use this model and then we'll switch to a different model, all right? That sees a little bit farther out. Let's go ahead and fast forward this to where we're at here, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see it's doing okay. It's not doing great. It shows a couple of the rain showers out in West Kentucky. Shows their shield here. But push us on forward, and when the action starts to really kick into Kentucky, it's around midnight. 11 p.m. to midnight tonight. We'll see all the action that's happening in East Kentucky and East Tennessee move its way into Central and Western Kentucky around midnight or so. And then around 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Time, you're starting to see just a balloon of rain. I mean, this is a lot of rain pushing all the way up through here. All right, 5 to 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Eastern Time. You can still see Western and Central Kentucky are dominating the rain shield right now, but East Kentucky will get back on the action here very soon. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern Time, this is where the heavier rains start to really kick in. You have this band that's sitting along the Western Kentucky parkways and the Cumberland parkways at this point, just sitting there, just dumping rain. All right, and then we're going to get to about 11. Let's go to 11 a.m. Central Time. You start to see that band is starting to shift up. But what I want you to notice, I'm going to pull this back. And I want you to just look at this. So you see how the shape of this rain shield is top left to bottom right. Watch the shape of the rain shield as I push us forward here. Top right to bottom left. It's swinging. That's the Fujiwara effect that we told you about a couple of days ago that we explained to you. Two low pressures are going to be so close together. The hurricane low pressure and the low pressure that we had the other day. And those are going to swing around each other. And that low pressure we had the other day is going to absorb the hurricane. And it's going to stall in West Kentucky. And you're going to see this just tilt. And that's why we're seeing the tilt action occurring here. As that pushes on forward to 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, you'll see the heavier rains are now in northern Kentucky and southwestern Kentucky. Going ahead to about 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we get a break out in eastern central Kentucky, but this might not be a good thing. If we get some sunshine in between some bands of rain, that can add some cape into the atmosphere. We may be looking at a couple of severe cells. And with these severe cells, they may potentially be spinning. You're talking about a spinning cyclone, aka a hurricane. Any type of cell that really gets going in its own space with just enough cape, you're talking about the potential for a tornado. All right, the potential for a tornado is extremely low. I would probably put it at about 0.5%. But if we get a cell or two to pop, like let's say between Lexington to E-Town to Louisville to Somerset to Pikeville tomorrow, we'll have to keep a really close eye on it. Once again, I'm not guaranteeing. I'm not telling you. It's actually not even favorable to occur. But I want to let you know just in case it actually happens. I want you to have the heads up. Again, I don't feel like it will because there's so much rain involved with this. But the potential, the possibility, I should say, is on the table. It's just extremely, extremely low. All right, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Most of the rain resides in Western Kentucky at this time. 9 to 10 to 11, 12, 1. You think you're done. And then the Fujiwara effect starts to take place. And now that low pressure that stalled right there that absorbed that energy is now kicking the rain back out once again to the E-Town, Lexington, Louisville, to Somerset areas. Now you have around 2 early Saturday to maybe late Saturday morning. And this has the rain moving out pretty quickly on Saturday. I don't know if that'll be the case. I think it stalls a little bit longer than what the models are showing. So push this forward to 7 to 8 on Saturday, 10, 11, 12, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and then it's at this point, I think after lunchtime on Saturday, we're starting to look at more spotty rain showers that are a little bit lighter, that things taper off. And then on Sunday, maybe some spotty rain showers, once again, even lighter, but surely should be gone by then. Let's go ahead and look at the wind gusts for you real quickly. I want to show you as we head into tonight. This is valid for midnight tonight. You can see pretty calm out there, 20 to 30 mile per hour. May knock over a few small limbs. And then as we head toward the overnight hours, 2 to 3 a.m. Eastern Time, it starts to kick up a little bit. And here's your wall of winds from the actual hurricane. So I want to let you know that the actual hurricane low pressure probably won't move into Kentucky until about 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern Time. What we're going to see beforehand is all the other low pressure. All right? Pushing this forward to 6 to 7, you see those winds are now kicking into Kentucky at this point. These are enough winds to cause some damages out there. 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Now, I want to point out real quickly before you guys go absolutely crazy about these big numbers that are occurring over here east of I-65, I do think the model is probably doing a little bit too much when it comes to the wind gust. So don't look at these numbers absolutely verbatim. Like, for example, if you're in Somerset and seeing that 66 mile per hour wind gust number, it's probably not going to be 66 mile per hour, probably be lower than that. So please don't freak out whenever you're seeing these. I just want to show you the context of when the peak winds are going to be, which, by the way, is between about 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Friday. As that pushes on forward, you see the peak winds have now reached the E-Town and Lexington area, Louisville to Florence around 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And then again, you see the Fujiwara effect. It's going to spin. So 9 times out of 10, or usually, the winds would just follow one path. But now they're going to spin back to western Kentucky at this point. And then they'll die down a little bit. And then by the time that rain gets kicked up from the other low pressure on Saturday morning, you see the winds come back in once again, but they're not as strong. So once again, don't read those numbers 100% verbatim. I just wanted to show you the peak time frame. So overall, Friday will be your primary day to expect most of your action. I want to show you now our forecast. So I'm going to put this into full zoom here and just kind of zoom in a little bit. Might be a little bit blurry, but I will also post these on our page. So don't worry if you can't see it 100% correctly right now. Don't worry, I will post these on our page so you can have them with more clarity. Here are your total additional rainfall amounts between 10 p.m. Thursday and 1 p.m. Saturday. So starting in 2 hours to 1 p.m. So this is not counting in, I want to make that clear, this is not counting in what Eastern Kentucky has already seen today. So if you factor in what Eastern Kentucky has already seen today, it's probably higher than this. But I wanted to make this as clear as possible. 2 to 4 inches of additional rain expected in Eastern Kentucky, where that yellow zone is. 3 to 5 inches in that orange zone basically includes Owensboro, Henderson, Louisville, Lexington, Danville, Campbellsville, so on and so forth. The red zone is where we can see the higher rainfall amounts. Now this might shift a little bit, but I don't think it shifts too much. 4 to 6 inches of rain, if not a smidge more than that, expected from E-Town to Litchfield, maybe northern Warren County, Madisonville, Hopkinsville, Paducah, Murray, so on and so forth. Once again, that high zone could probably shift up or down a little bit. I don't think it shifts to the east at all. If it shifts anywhere, it could shift up to Owensboro or down to Bowling Green or whatever it might be. You get my point. It could go up or down. I don't think it goes left or right. So that's your total rainfall amounts to be expected. Now I want to show you the wind gust map that we have created for you as well. This is your probability of intermittent wind gusts, which means every once in a while, over 50 miles per hour, Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, that's the time I told you where this is really going to be kicking up. 50% chance in that orange zone for you to see 50 mile per hour wind gust or higher, 50 mile per hour wind gust at any point. Yellow zone, 40%, green zone, 30%. The reason that Bowling Green area and southern Kentucky are the lowest, that's where the low pressure is going to reside and pivot. Where that low pressure is, you'll see less activity. It's around the low pressure that you'll see all the activity. So that's why the bottom portion of Kentucky there is in the lowest zone, because that's where the low pressure will flip and reside, all right? 40%, again, what all these numbers means, basically you got a 50-50 shot at seeing a 50 mile per hour wind gust, all right? Can we see wind gusts that go above 50 mile per hour tomorrow? I think the answer is yes, but I think it's very spotty, so I can't give you a for sure answer. If you're going to ask me, hey, I live in the backyard of zip code 40339, well, I'll see 50, higher than that. I can't tell you that at this point. But what I can tell you is got a 50% shot of getting a 50 mile per hour gust or not. I know it's not perfect science. I know you guys like more specific answers, but just being quite honest with you, models tend to handle tropical events on land very poorly. So we're going to have to play this by ear, all right? These are just our best guesses at this point. So overall, pretty windy, very wet day tomorrow. We will see numerous flash flood warnings. I know you guys, a lot of people have asked me, will we see a high wind warning come out for this? I think it's probably a 50-50 shot. If they do issue a high wind warning, the NWS on that call earlier said that they would do it before 11 p.m. tonight for tomorrow. So, if we do see a high wind warning, it would come out within the next 3 hours for your Friday morning. But you can see why we don't recommend travel and why we are recommending schools or businesses to perhaps even close for a little bit tomorrow. The highest peak of rain and winds is from 7 a.m. to about 2 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. That is when a lot of your travel takes place. Visibility will be down below 1 mile. If you guys did not know, typically you can see up to about 10 to 12 miles away whenever you're driving. If you have 20/20 vision or glasses that give you 20/20 vision. When you're talking about visibility being less than a mile, along with 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, you're talking about a lot of traffic headaches. So it is my advice to you to not travel tomorrow if you can help it at all. Stay home. It's going to be disgusting out there anyway. If your boss can let you work from home, or if you can take the day off or whatever it might be, that would be great, so you can avoid having to travel. If you do absolutely have to travel, it is the recommendation of the KDOT and us to allow yourself not only double time but triple time for your commute in the morning. Because again, you're talking about less than 1 mile visibility, 40 to perhaps 55-mile-per-hour winds or so, and you're talking about just incredible amounts of rainfall being dumped in our state. If you're asking me, George, what's happening in my area, the answer is very clear. You're going to see at least 2 inches of rain everywhere in Kentucky. The higher rainfall amounts should reside on the western half of Kentucky where we showed you before, and everyone at some point will see some gusty winds of at least 30 mile per hour tomorrow. So everyone, if I look over and I see 4 questions about Bowling Green, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm telling you guys, everyone, it's a joke, don't get mad at me. Everyone in the state will feel, see, and hear this storm system tomorrow and going into Saturday. All right? It's just the western half should see more rain. The eastern half, because it's not seeing as much rain, should likely see more winds. So each side of the state has their own problem to worry about. Each side of the state is equally at play for all ingredients here. The severe risk, once again, tomorrow is probably like 10%. I mean, it's not high. Could we see a couple of warnings? Sure. But keep in mind, if they issue a high wind warning tonight for tomorrow, they're not going to issue severe thunderstorm warnings for the wind gusts tomorrow. So you got to keep that in mind. I don't think there's a big severe risk with this. It's not like Hurricane Beryl where we saw 20 tornado warnings and, what was it, like 50 severe thunderstorm warnings. It's not like that at all. Unfortunately, it's more of the flash flooding, not being able to really go anywhere because there's so much rain just being dumped on you. If you've ever driven through Florida rains, you know how heavy this is about to be, right? So, again, it's more along those lines, not necessarily severe lines. So that's the good news. No really severe weather expected tomorrow. In fact, I'm barely even seeing any lightning showing up on data. So I don't think we're looking at any type of severe weather. Could we see a couple rogue ones? Sure. I cannot immediately rule out the chance at one tornado. Probably if we see any, it would be one, right? And even that is probably at about a 1% max. I mean, it's just not likely at all. So I want you guys to calm down when it comes to these severe weather and tornadoes. I know Hurricane Beryl left a sour taste in a lot of folks' mouths, but this is not like that at all. This is completely different in almost every sense. So just wanted to point that out real quickly. I wanted to take a real quick look and see if this is updated yet. Again, this site is getting absolutely flooded with folks. All right. It's not updating. I'm going to take some questions. Oh, there it goes. Oh, wow. Okay, so they're in the eye right now. I know this website looks absolutely crazy, but if you look right here, you'll see the aircraft that's going through the eye. There's your eye of the storm right there. And right now, let's see what it's measured. It has measured a 942 on the pressure. That's still strengthening, by the way. 942, because I believe last time they checked it was down to 943.8. Now it's at 942.3. So it means that it's still strengthening, even as close to land as it is. And that's probably all we're going to get because this website's getting absolutely overloaded. I'm going to take some of your questions now, but before that, I'm going to give you a message from our sponsor, Right to Implement.
I enjoy seeing things grow. It's a fun process to be able to put a seed in the ground and seeing what comes from it. We always enjoy going to Wrights because they're always very helpful, and when we're in a need, they always get it done for us.
If we break down the field, I make a call to Right Implement, and they always have someone out within a reasonable amount of time. I've been working with Right Implement for several years and wouldn't recommend any other dealership.
All right. I'll get to some of your questions at this point. Not going to get too specific because, again, guys, the threat is pretty similar for everyone in the state. The expectation is pretty similar for everyone in the state. The timing is pretty similar for everyone in the state. So this is a pretty similar system no matter where you're at. If it's on Pikeville or Paducah, right? At each corner of the state, you're talking about pretty similar circumstances. So let me get to a few questions at this point. Do you think it'll be bad enough that flights out of Louisville will be canceled tomorrow, Gabby? I think you'll at the least see some delays, especially in the morning. I definitely think you could probably see some cancellations. And we're talking about rainfall coming down very hard. When those winds kick up with that rainfall, I definitely think you're looking at the least some delays. You're probably looking at a few cancellations as well. So the wind won't really start picking up till tomorrow. That's correct, Caitlin. So the wind gusts, in our opinion, The timing frame for the peak wind gust throughout the state is about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. Um, Kayla says, "Can you elaborate on clothes for a little bit tomorrow?" Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I know people like to make, and people got to make money and do all. I mean, do what you all got to do to keep your businesses going. But I mean, if you can miss tomorrow, miss tomorrow. I mean, you're talking about driving through some really tough rains, really hard winds, visibility down below a mile. You know, if you're traveling somewhere that's very close to your house, that's one thing. To me, the rule of thumb is if you got to hop on the interstate or a highway that goes above 55 mile per hour, it's probably best to avoid that tomorrow because you're talking about having to slow down. You're going to have some drivers that are going to be flat out, sorry to say it, but just idiots and thinking they can just drive through with their big old 4x4s and they're going to spin. So to me, the best offense is defense tomorrow. Do you think the woods will be strong enough to cause lots of power outages? Crystal, I hate answering that question if I'm being honest with you because I don't like fearing people, but I do think we'll see a few power outages tomorrow, especially on the eastern side of the state where we see a little bit more of the wind gust action. I can't put a number on it, but I would say that I would bet that we'll see, at least 5 to 10,000 power outages and stuff. Just because you're talking about incredible amounts of rainfall. Winds are going to be kicking 40 to 50, some places up to 60 mile per hour tomorrow. Power outages are definitely on the table tomorrow, but I mean, again, it's such a hard question to answer. Are schools closing? I think there are schools that have already closed. I think that you will likely see more schools close once they realize that they don't want to put their buses out there full of kids in the middle of 40 to 50 mile per hour tropical rains. I think you'll see a lot of that occur tomorrow. Is the wind going to be bad near Louisa? Yeah, again, the causes, the effects, the risk are the same for everyone in the state. Do you think it's best to keep kids home from school? Our schools haven't canceled yet. If it was me, you're talking about me, so I'm not telling you guys what to do or telling schools what to do. But me personally, my kid wouldn't be going to school tomorrow. No, I'm not putting my kid on a school bus that's that big that can't handle wind already in the middle of a tropical storm like that. No, I would not be doing that. It's not worth them missing one day of school. Just stay in, make them a cool lunch at home, watch some TV, and have some fun with them. No, Caitlin, I don't think we're talking about winds like that. I think we're talking about if you do see some higher wind gusts, they're going to be really off and on. They're not going to be like sustained wall of winds for hours and hours and hours on end. So I mean, I don't think you need to go seek shelter. No. Grim, I do think that will be the case for southeastern Kentucky. It'll take a little bit longer for the rest of Kentucky to get in on the winds, more toward the 8 to 9 a.m. time frame. Leah, I do not think so. I think the chance is there for maybe one, just because you're dealing with a spinning cyclone. But if you're asking me what am I think for tomorrow, I don't think we see any type of severe weather tomorrow. But I mean, again, I have to mention it because there is a chance. But the likelihood is very, very low, guys. Correct, Beth. Do you think it will make landfall at 4 or strengthen? Well, based off of what I'm seeing, we're probably it's about to run out of time. It's very close to Category 5. Last time I saw it was at 135 mile per hour winds, and I'm looking at the radar now. I'll show you guys. I'll bring it up and show you guys. But I'm looking at the radar now, and I'm seeing a lot of lightning around the eye and even inside the eye. So this tells me that this is still absolutely strengthening. The problem it's running into now is it'll probably go to land like right here. And it's going to run out of time. So you probably got about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It's going to be really close. Either way, I mean, you got to think about it. Even a Category 4 hurricane is rare, right? So, I mean, either way, this is a monster. This is a monster. Should I just accept a $400 loss by missing louder than life? I wouldn't tell anybody to miss an event like that. I mean, it just all depends. I think when you wake up tomorrow or whenever you go, I think you should look at the radar, make that judgment call, see what the radar is looking like, right? If it's a little bit less, right, then you could travel. And then when you're at louder than life, you'll just wait for a moment to where it's a little bit lighter, and then you'll go home then. So I don't want anyone to miss out on money or miss their business or anything like that. But again, just kind of be smart about it. Try to look at your radar on your phone. You know, if you on our page, we'll be posting radar updates, I'm sure, all day tomorrow. So you can look at our page as well. That is a lot of lightning. On the western half of this storm, this is absolutely strengthening. I mean, look at all that lightning. So lightning on the western half of a hurricane, just a tip for you guys, if you guys want to know. Lightning on the western half of a hurricane signifies rapid intensification. And you have lightning in the inner core as well. That really signifies that this thing is still just got the what was pedal to the floor. I mean, it is wanting to get to Category 5. I will say that this probably would already be at Category 5, but between about 5 a.m. to about 1 p.m. today, it ran into a pocket of dry air that slowed its intensification down. If it wasn't for that, this thing would be a full-blown Category 5. There's not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind. Again, Pamela, I think the biggest time frame for rain is 5 a.m. to about 4 p.m. The biggest time frame for winds is about 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pedal to the metal. What weather apps do you recommend? So generally, I tell everyone, I don't really like weather apps at all because they all just use algorithms. They have no human input. But if you're going to use one, I would use Weather Underground or Wonderground, whatever it's called. Basically, here, I'll show you because I even have it for when I'm traveling. Makes it a lot easier. Let me see if I can show you that one right there. It's IBM, which is probably the best of all those wonky computer models. If you're looking for a really good radar to look at, it costs $10. It's one flat fee. But this one is a really phenomenal radar. This is actually what we use. So this is called a radar scope. You can have it on your phone or computer. So we have radar scope. What we're on right now is called Radar Omega. And then what we use for warnings and watches is called WSV3. But you can't get that one. I mean, I have no idea, Loretta. I don't give them no influence out there. But I would say it's possible. I would say it's definitely possible at this point. Let's check and see it on that recon mission and see how it's going. I always get scared for these guys that fly right into the center of a hurricane. But they're doing the Lord's work, because without this, we wouldn't know what's going on. It would just be guesses. This is actual information coming from the center of the hurricane. Are they going to cancel schools? I have no idea. I know there's schools that are already canceling. If it was my advice, it would be a cancellation depending upon where you're at. But again, we don't make those decisions for them. 944, huh? Man. Do we have an update from NHC here? We do. Maximum sustained winds of 130 mile per hour. This was back at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Still moving northeast at 23 mile per hour. So it's moving mainly north at this point. By the way, I want to give you guys a real quick tip for those of you that look at these hurricane images and stuff that come out from the National Hurricane Center. Where the cone is does not mean that's the only area that's going to be impacted. For example, we know that eastern Kentucky is going to be impacted tomorrow, right? Even though they're not in the cone. This is just the track of the low pressure, not the actual width of the storm. So not a lot of people know that. That's why I don't like this map very much. But yeah. Megan, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, they're going to need all the help they can get, Monica. Hopefully everyone got out of there. You know there's going to be a couple of stubborn butts in there, but I hope that the vast majority of people got out of there. I really do. I don't think we quite understand until we see it in front of our eyeballs how large 20 feet of storm surge is. For example, your standard house is like, one floor anyway, in your side of your room. If you take a second, look up in your room, it's about 10 feet tall, typically. Now, if you have, higher ceilings or whatever it might be, and if you're fancy and crap, then you probably don't know. But if you have just a standard house, it's about 10 to 12 feet tall. So you take that, and you add another one to it, in the midst of just pouring down rain. And I'm not talking about just the rain we get in Kentucky. I'm talking about tropical rain, sheets of rain coming down with a wall of ocean coming at you, right? So, I mean, I don't think people understand physically how large that is. It's almost like a mini tsunami. I mean, it's large. So, I really hope those folks that are in Florida, that are in that bend that we talked about, this area up here, where you see all these chasers and these dumb butts right here sitting, then I really hope they got out. I really do. I really do. And I hope these guys get out of there too. I just don't think it's worth it. I just don't think it's worth it. Do you like that, Lisa? Yes, Abby. I think again, the risk and impacts tomorrow are generally the same for everyone. Again, time frames. It's really starting to get going between 5 a.m. Friday to about 5 p.m. on Friday. So you got that nice 12-hour window of just winds and rain. Will the temperature be dropping with this wind? No, because you have to remember this is coming from Florida, so it's actually bringing warmer air in with it, but the rain will help to keep those warm temperatures down, so it'll basically feel pretty much the same. Yeah, Jocelyn, I'll explain it to you. So every type of low pressure you have has a rating with it or a strength with it. And a lot of people don't know this, but the lower that number is actually the stronger it is. You would think it would be the higher, but no, we have to be difficult in America with our metrics. The lower that number is, the stronger it is. So, for example, this hurricane, if I can pull up the image, and it's not going to pull it, there we go. This hurricane right now, that's not what I wanted at all. Anyway, I guess I'll go back here. This hurricane right now, and now this is off, but it's actually at about a 943 millibar. But this shows you your typical low pressure. To give you some context, your typical low pressure that moves through here is about 1,000 to about 1,005 millibar when we're talking about a storm system. Usually about 1,000 millibar. Hurricane standards, you're usually talking about 970 to 990 for your typical like Category 1, Category 2 hurricane. You're talking about tonight, it's already at 942 and has a chance to go down to like 939, 938 millibar. That is extremely strong, and you will feel it in your head. So you're talking about extremely strong low pressure. Again, Dakota, I think everyone's looking at the same impacts tomorrow. Every inch of the state looking at the same impacts tomorrow. Mainly just rain and winds, but a lot of it. A lot of it. Again, same time frames for pretty much everyone, 5 a.m. Friday to about 5 p.m. on Friday. And then you're going to have multiple rounds of rain beyond that well into Saturday. All right, I think we're getting to the point here where it's time to end this broadcast. We've been live for, 40 minutes? Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with us and talking hurricane and understanding what's going to be happening tomorrow. Of course, we'll be posting plenty of updates. Probably do a live broadcast tomorrow around noon. Of course, if the internet and electric doesn't go out for the 15,000th time. Again, we're not looking at a bunch of severe weather. We're looking at a bunch of rain and wind, so I don't want anyone to freak out. Just stay off the roads and you'll be fine. Pretty much. That's pretty much. Why are schools canceling? Very low visibility rates, and school buses on the road when there's 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. Probably not the greatest mixture. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I'll give you guys plenty of updates not only through tonight, but through tomorrow and throughout Saturday and our whole event here. Prayers go out to Florida, hopefully. No lives lost. When we're talking about a storm like this, there probably will be, unfortunately. It's just thoughts and prayers to them. Elsewhere, yeah, I think we're good. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. Until next time, stay safe, Kentucky.